Hey everyone, my name is Zach Schmitt, a student at the University of Minnesota, and I have to say I'm very excited to finally get to share this research with all of you, albeit virtually. Specifically, I'll be discussing a recent study in which we identify opportunities to support and enhance peer mentorship for individuals in recovery from substance use disorders through social computing design. So substance use disorders such as alcoholism and drug abuse are one of the largest and fastest growing health epidemics facing the US. Last year, over 69,000 people died from substance overdose. So to put that in context, that's almost double the amount of deaths resulting from car accidents over the same period. And those 69,000 deaths equate to an individual dying from overdose about every 7 minutes and 30 seconds. So given this alarming rate of overdose-related deaths, the need for effective treatment for substance use disorders is greater now than ever. So in traditional treatment settings, an individual will first enter detox and then undergo a several-month-long stay in an inpatient treatment facility or rehabilitation center. The ultimate goal of which is for the individual to be able to live an independent life, no longer negatively affected by substance use. However, maintaining sobriety following treatment is extremely difficult. And one of the most dangerous and vulnerable periods of any recovery process occurs during the months that take place immediately after an individual leaves an inpatient treatment facility. It's at this point that they lose all of that support and that structure provided to them by the treatment facility and the staff there, and they have to re-enter their old life with all of its stressors and triggers, and they often have to confront these obstacles without adequate support. So this combination of factors often leads to relapse, which means the individual begins using drugs again. So to improve treatment outcomes, our lab explores how social computing might supplement existing care options and serve as an additional source of support for individuals who are in that dangerous period immediately following treatment. So one amazing tool for people making this transition from inpatient treatment to an independent life is peer mentorship. So in the broad context, a peer mentor is an individual with experience in a specific domain who volunteers to provide guidance to an individual with less experience. And within recovery communities such as 12-step groups, a peer mentor is commonly referred to as a sponsor. And the person they're mentoring is called a sponsee. Now, a sponsor provides critical one-on-one social support to individuals new to recovery by conducting daily check-ins on health and well-being, and also by providing guidance on how to cope with these dangerous stressors that have the potential to cause relapse. So we decided to focus our research on peer sponsorship for a number of reasons. First, previous empirical research has demonstrated its efficacy. For example, research shows that individuals who acquire a sponsor early in their recovery fare significantly better than those who acquire a sponsor later in their recovery. Second, sponsorship is very widespread. Thus, any positive impact we can have in this space will reach a very wide audience. Third, and perhaps most importantly, we found that individuals currently in recovery believe that technology designed to support sponsorship has the potential to be highly valuable for their own personal recovery. And we observed this value placed on tech for sponsorship in a participatory design study we conducted with individuals in recovery. And even though they were free to focus on anything, participants in that study independently and unanimously chose to design technology to support their own personal relationship with their sponsor. However, we decided that before we go off and build all the things we co-designed in that participatory design study, we wanted to take a step back in order to perform a thorough investigation on tech design for sponsorship, because our previous research didn't really specifically explore which interventions would be acceptable to the recovery community. And we also did not include the perspectives of sponsors. We only worked with sponsees. Therefore, in this paper I'm presenting today, we conducted 27 interviews with both sponsors and sponsees to understand the opportunities and the risks associated with socio-technical interventions for the sponsorship relationship. Specifically, we sought to address three broad research questions. First, we wanted to identify the core mentorship practices enacted by sponsees and sponsors. We also wanted to understand how they negotiate different needs and motivations within their relationship. And finally, we wanted to explore how social computing can support and expand sponsorship. So from this point forward in the presentation, I'm going to quickly discuss our research methodology, then I'll discuss a few select findings, and finally end with some general takeaways from our research. So in order to answer our research questions, we conducted semi-structured interviews with 15 sponsors and 12 sponsees across 2 states in the US. We used word of mouth and snowball techniques to recruit these participants. The sponsors we interviewed had a median of 7 years of experience as a sponsor. And the sponsees we interviewed tended to be relatively new to the recovery process, having a median of 1 year experience in recovery from substance use disorders. Interviews typically lasted 45 to 75 minutes and were conducted in person or over the phone. Common topics across our interviews included experiences initiating the relationship, challenges faced, and strategies used in maintaining a healthy relationship, and finally, perceived priorities and concerns in the potential use of technology to augment current practices. So we transcribed these interviews and utilized inductive thematic analysis to identify 5 core themes within the data. So due to time constraints, I'm only going to be able to very quickly cover these 5 themes we discovered in our interviews, because I want to spend the bulk of my remaining time on the overall implications for design that stem from these themes. But like I said, I will give you a quick glimpse at each theme now. So in our first theme, we found that sponsors and sponsees often discuss the importance of compatibility in their relationship. However, they assess compatibility very differently. For instance, sponsees stated that compatible personality traits and similar recovery experiences were highly valuable to them, whereas sponsors focused on establishing compatible expectations and goals for the relationship. Second, participants recognized that technology could greatly benefit the logistic aspects of sponsorship. However, they stated in very strong terms that technology should never replace their in-person, one-on-one connection with each other. Additionally, sponsors often set relationship boundaries to avoid becoming the sole source of support for their sponsee, and encourage them to develop supportive relationships with other peers besides themselves. These boundaries also enabled sponsors to carve out social and emotional time away from their sponsees to allow them to focus on their own recovery and their own self-care. Furthermore, as we've just seen, it can be rather unhealthy for an individual to be dependent on a single person for all of their support in their recovery. Thus, participants consistently spoke of their desire to develop strong and robust peer support networks to complement their relationship with their sponsor and receive additional support. So in our final theme, participants consistently discussed how their need for anonymity and privacy can sometimes conflict with their simultaneous need to disclose their identity to others in order to ask for and receive help. All right, so now on to the fun stuff, at least in my opinion. So from our 5 interview themes, we developed 3 overall design implications for sponsorship technology. Unfortunately, I only have time to discuss 2 of them, but please refer to our paper for the full set. So in our first implication, we cover how to design technology to develop a sponsor's capacity to meaningfully support multiple sponsees while also maintaining time for their own personal self-care. So as we saw in previous interview themes, sponsors often set relationship boundaries to enable themselves to carve out time for their own recovery. These boundaries are necessary because of the extremely heavy load placed upon sponsors. So for instance, we found sponsors are expected to meet in person with their sponsee at least once a week, schedule those meetings, they perform daily health and well-being check-ins, they assign homework, help sponsees grow their support network, and hold sponsees accountable to their recovery. And I haven't even mentioned their careers, children, and their own recovery. Therefore, We believe that a key opportunity for technology is to develop a sponsor's capacity to meaningfully support multiple sponsees without having to sacrifice time for their own self-care. For example, technology could play the role of a virtual assistant in supporting daily sponsorship logistics, such as scheduling one-on-one meetings, receiving homework assignments, and following up with sponsees to help sponsors free up some time to focus on themselves. However, participants were not on board with using technology to augment all of a sponsor's duties. Participants spoke at length about the importance of physically meeting in person at least once per week, and were strongly opposed to replacing that meeting and that in-person connection with any form of communication technology such as video chat. Thus, we strongly recommend that technology focus on easing the burden of daily sponsorship logistics without replacing in-person connection. Additionally, we also see an opportunity for tech to connect sponsors with each other by creating spaces for them to exchange support and strategies to further grow their capacity to meet the challenging needs of their individual sponsees. All right, so on to the final implication, in which we recommend that tech design focus on helping sponsees develop a peer network to complement the support they receive from their sponsor. So in our interviews, we found that sponsees have unpredictable and complicated needs that cannot be fully supported by just a single sponsor. We found that complete dependence on a sole sponsor is unhealthy, stressful, time-consuming, and ultimately unsustainable for both parties. Furthermore, a peer support network serves as a vital backup for sponsees when they need urgent, time-sensitive support, and especially when their sponsor is unavailable or can't be reached on the phone. Finally, we found that a sponsor is not always able to draw upon their own personal experience to provide guidance to a sponsee, and this necessitates outside counsel regarding specific problems. Therefore, a clear opportunity for tech design is to support sponsees in building a peer support network to complement the support they receive from their sponsor. However, previous research indicates that a peer support network is only beneficial to individuals in recovery if more than 50% of their peer network are actively pursuing recovery from substances. And additionally, a peer network is only beneficial if peers are in close geographic proximity to allow for frequent in-person interaction with each other. Thus, we suggest that designing technology to leverage the existing sponsorship family structure to help sponsees build a vetted and geographically proximal peer support network. So a sponsorship family works like this. So imagine that a single sponsor has 4 sponsees, and one of those sponsees has 3 sponsees of their own, and one of those sponsees has 3 additional sponsees, and so on. These connections form a sponsorship family, and we suggest that tech design leverage this structure to help sponsees meet and interact with members of their extended sponsorship family towards increasing their own peer network. For instance, when a member of the sponsorship family is planning to attend a recovery event or meeting, tech design could ensure that an alert or invite be sent to the entire extended sponsorship family, thus providing sponsees additional opportunities to meet peers in recovery. This communication network would also be valuable when urgent and time-sensitive support is needed. Therefore, in addition to our previous takeaways, we recommend that tech design leverages the existing sponsorship family structure to provide vetted and geographical proximal peer support for sponsees. All right, thank you for your attention. I do want to say that due to time constraints of this presentation, I was only able to give a very brief overview of our findings. So if you found this presentation at all interesting, I highly recommend that you read our full paper. Thank you again for your attention.